it's really a pretty fascinating process, and we'll talk about it. It's called the Common Core State Standards, and they're coming in 2014, 2015, so about a year and a half away. Probably one of the biggest changes in education, certainly in my career, it is maybe ever, because something's going to happen that I had never thought. When I started teaching in 1995, I taught AP Physics, and advanced placement physics was a national curriculum. Students in Alaska, Maine, Pennsylvania, Florida, California all had the exact same content. And I had teachers go up and say, I can't believe you teach this, it's so restrictive. And it's a national curriculum, and I'm opposed to it. I mean, I had some colleagues who were, not happy with this, top-down imprint of advanced placement courses. And so I said, wow, a national curriculum won't happen. Well, it is. It's happening, it's coming our way. The goal of the national curriculum, and as I said, 45 states have signed on, is exactly this. The standards are supposed to be fewer, clearer, and higher, more rigorous. Are they fewer? I would say they're about the same. California has rigorous content standards, and the standards are what we expect our kids to know. So California standards are pretty solid. So fewer, it's about the same for California. In many other states, probably less. Clearer, they are definitely clearer standards, and they are more rigorous standards. So I'd say certainly 2 or 3 boxes in the check. What is the goal of Common Core? So the goal of the Common Core standards really is to ensure success in higher education and career. The focus is on higher education. The focus is on literacy. The focus is on reading and writing. And so in Las Virgenes, we're going to do terrific. Our kids do a ton of reading, our kids do a ton of writing. We don't have EL issues. Across the state and the nation, the EL students, I think, are going to get hammered. And we have EL students, about 7% or so. And we're working hard to address their needs. These are second language students. So looking at these assessments, and I'll show you an example in a little bit, they are all about writing, which is terrific. If you think about the STAR exam, and maybe you can't think about it, but children haven't had it, or whatever, you haven't taken yourself. The STAR exam is multiple choice, A, B, C, D, E. Not a lot of writing. The STAR exam walked away from writing. It's not in there. You can't do it. How do you grade it? This new assessment, and it's called the Next Generation Assessments Coming, is a game changer. They're looking at a lot of automated scoring. What computers going to do? There's a lot of that right now. And I suppose, if students are writing more, I'm in favor. Can a computer grade an essay as well as a teacher, or as a parent, as an adult, as a staff member? I'm not. The jury's out for me on that. I'd probably say not as well. But what's happening? What some of the teachers are doing right now is they're saying, "Okay, John, give me 5 essays. 4 get submitted online. There's plenty of these systems in place right now. 4 go online and get graded. They get feedback that's meaningful, and the teacher grades one of them. I like it. I'd love the teacher to grade 5, but they're writing 5 different essays. They're writing 5 different times, and the teacher's providing very detailed, meaningful feedback on one. So from that perspective, I like it. Generally, your teachers not too favorable, but if 45 countries are going to be doing excessively more writing, they're not teachers. Advanced placement, calls teachers and they gather them to grade the exams by hand, and they barely have enough for that. So the cost would be insane. The time would be prohibitive. So we've got automated scoring coming, which will be pretty interesting for us. The focus for us is what they call the 4 C's, 21st century learning, right? So we've got critical, creative, communication, collaboration. So I tend to group the top 2 and the bottom 2 together. So we're critical and creative thinkers. Huge. When I talk to business people, and there are plenty here, they say, I don't want someone who can solve, I'm not going to hire someone who's going to solve problems. I don't want your smartest graduate from Calabasas High School. I want someone who can, I want someone who's very smart. I want someone who can work in a team, who can collaborate, who can communicate. I want a problem anticipator. One of the CEOs of Xerox said, if you're solving a problem for me, it's costing me tens of millions of dollars right now. If you're anticipating a problem 1 to 3 to 5 years out, that's what I want. So the creativity, this is a tough one. For me, getting on my soapbox, I worry about screen time, especially with the little guys. And that is a major focus at one of our schools, the alternative school, Mariposa. My kids go there. If you go to a restaurant, you see little guys, little gals, they're playing. I love the game too, right? With the little guys, you really got to be careful about that. That you jump in the car, you go for a drive, you go drive to Mammoth, right? 6-hour drive, right? 2 videos, right? Well, kids need that downtime. They need that time to stop. They need that time to look out the window and be bored. It's okay to be bored. And when you have that downtime with your mind just wandering, that's when you develop that creative ability just to connect randomness. That's what creative thinking is about. It's connecting randomness thoughts or experiences you had. So especially with little guys that are really worried about screen time, tech is huge, tech is wonderful, we're installing wireless at all of our schools, I'm a big fan of it, but we have to be balanced and thoughtful and purposeful as we roll it out. Talking to some of our teachers, I worry about this piece, the creative piece, and the increase in screen time. It's a challenge for us, and these assessments are going to force us to it. Communication and collaboration as well. So on communication, massive amounts of writing. I already told you that on these assessments, and I'll give you an example in a minute. The collaboration of considering gaming. Now these assessments, I haven't talked too much about them, they're going to be online, they're going to be computer-based. They're not going to be pencil and paper star exams that we receive in the mail, we send back in the mail, and we get results 3 or 4 months later. Typically we get the results right now at the middle and end of August. That's not that helpful. The kids are gone. It's an autopsy, right? The kids have changed teachers. The new assessments are going to be up to 3 times a year, and they are claiming they'll get it back to us in 2 weeks. So if it's all online and uploaded online, that should help the process immensely. So that's helpful, because we can get assessment data in November. Pretty darn helpful, as opposed to August. So the assessments are considering gaming as well, where the students interact in game and solve problems. There's lots of great examples of math games out there for downloads and apps. And they're also considering collaboration, chat rooms. So 3 people, Ms. Eisner, Mr. Whitehead, and I would have each different 3 pieces of information. We have chat boxes on our tablets, our iPads, and we share the information and communicate with each other. We can't talk out loud because that'd be disruptive. But we're chatting with each other over the internet to solve the problem. Pretty cool stuff. Where did they come from? So Glenn Beck is out there fired up about Common Core. You're going to see more of this as we get closer to it, right? If you want to Google, there's some very interesting videos out there. And, I'm only a partial conspiracy theorist. If you try to find out who the authors of the Common Core are, you're not going to find out. There are 2 people out there claiming to be the authors. This is the standards for 45 more states. And we're not sure who the authors are, which is kind of interesting. Regardless, the governors got together in 2010, the National Governors Association, and they brought in their Council of Chief State School Officers, which would be State Superintendent of Instruction, Tom Torkelson, who was not at the time. So we got together and said, this is crazy. We're all over the map, because there are no real federal guidelines regarding education. The Constitution doesn't speak to it. So everyone's got different assessment systems, everyone's got different benchmarks, everyone's got different proficiency levels, everyone's got different standards. It was almost impossible to compare states to each other, and we couldn't compare ourselves to the international stage. So they worked with universities, which is why it's geared towards college readiness, and developed these standards. And they are solid standards. I like them a lot. For me, the assessments are the game changers, but the assessments are solid. So they did research-based. They molded it with 10,000 comments from the public. Well, 10,000 comments for 45 states. I don't know, Ms. Eisner, we get about 10,000 comments in a week on a city council board and a meeting. What do you think? So, nationally, they were bragging about this on the website. 10,000 comments, really? 10,000 comments. I could send out 10,000 emails tonight. So there wasn't a lot of discussion about it. Doesn't mean that it's a bad thing. Just that the national governors got together, and this is the direction they went. And sometimes that's what you have to do to change. If you're gonna get too many cooks in the kitchen, you're gonna have problems. California State Board of Education adopted it in 2010. The states can opt in or opt out any time they want. Okay, our state has opted in, so it is not an option for us. So you'll hear different things. Common Core doesn't let kids take calculus. Not true. Actually, kids can take calculus. Common Core doesn't allow kids to take 8th grade algebra. Not true. You can absolutely do that. So you're going to hear more about this coming up in the next probably 6 months away. But as we get closer to its implementation, it's going to hit the papers and it's going to get controversial. We are working hard to get our staff ready for it. This is what we've been focused on for the past year. We've been focused on for the next year and a half in lots of different ways. So I'm excited about it. The assessments are terrific, and we'll go through some of those in a minute. So my analysis, the feds had nothing to do with this. President Obama had nothing to do with this. Secretary of Education Arne Duncan had nothing to do with it. But when the governors came together and developed a Common Core, I think they looked at this and said, wow, this is a game changer. This is the club. This is the club we're going to take to whack public education and help change it, not whack it in a positive way. This is going to be something so different that teachers have to stop and change their instruction. And we're going to be doing that. For me, the lever for change is the assessments. So, this did not come from the administration, like I said, but they are using it absolutely to leverage change throughout the system. Talk about a couple of these things. You'll hear something called smarter balance. Next generation assessments. That's what these online assessments will be. We're installing Wi-Fi in every one of our schools. We'll spend about $1.5 million of bond funds from the community. How this is, I think, going to be, Wi-Fi will be on any day. Agoras is on. They're working on Luca next. So we're going through the entire district. They'll definitely be all on wireless by October. Each student and staff member will have the access to use 4 devices at a time. It's a very robust, very strong network. 4 devices: cell phone, iPad, laptop. What's number 4? Google Glasses. Anyone seen Google Glasses yet, by the way?
No.
All right. Well, Google Glasses, and check it out. So we'll have that. So we will have the backbone in place. So then the next decision comes: does the district buy tablets, devices for all the students, or do we go to BYOD? BYOD stands for free internet device. Starbucks, right? You show up at Starbucks, you get free internet, right? You got to bring your own device, though. So those are the options we have going forward. Also with the Wi-Fi, there is guest access. And when the students or staff sign in, just like Starbucks, you sign in once a year, accept the terms, you're done. And then your laptop will automatically log itself into the system. Okay, so here's an old star question. So for me, the game changers are the actual assessments. It's the lever I am utilizing as a leader to create change within the district. That's code for the pressure I'm putting on the teachers. And they're responding very well. When you look at the assessment, the first place you go to is, wow, I've got to prepare my students for that assessment. And these are much more detailed assessments. So here's the STAR. STAR stands for Standardized Testing and Reporting System. That's a system been in place for about 15 or so years now. That's a system we're going to be leaving. So here's an example problem: Highland Hill, in the middle of nowhere. All you hear was the shrill cry of a hawk soaring overhead in Searchburg. Often uses the phrase, in the middle of nowhere, to show the hill is so tall. Elijah imagines that he's at the center of the universe. The closest house to Elijah is at least 100 miles away. Elijah feels very far away from everything that is familiar to him. The answer is? Okay, so that's STAR. Not really no writing, right? Minimal comprehension. So here's a next generation assessment example. Choose from the articles your teacher has provided. Read the article and identify 5 vocab words that you do not know or are not sure of. Use strategies, including the internet, for learning the new words to figure out their meaning. Write 5 questions you would like to ask the author about the article. Use the 5 vocab words you selected in your questions. It's a lot different. It's a lot of reading. A lot of reading. Again, I think very confident our students will do well. And we're working hard to make sure we're doing well. Excited. So people worry about cheating on tests. You just install Wi-Fi, Dr. Step, and kids now pull up their iPhone and they're Googling everything. Really? The answer is, if the kids can Google the answer, your assessment isn't a good one. Change it. Move in this kind of a direction. It's not we all have access to a tremendous amount of information. It's not about, when was the War of 1812? What are the axis of Allied powers? That information is out there. We can all get to that. How do you apply it? How do you apply it critically? Okay, so we want the kids to use their devices. It's going to create some challenges, but that's the direction we're going. And with that, I think I'm pretty sure what video I can show you. Phil Bruins, UCLA camp. that's where we're going. We're pretty excited about it. They are internationally benchmarked, as you saw. The rankings of the United States have been falling for the last 20 or 30 years. We are falling behind in this regard. The standards do not tell you how to deliver the instruction. That creativity remains with our teachers. We need that creativity on how to deliver them. Simply a description of, a national description of what needs to be covered. So we're excited, we're pressing forward. You're not probably hear much about them for 6 months, but then you can see a lot on the front page of the papers and a lot of stuff. And we've been getting ready for quite some time and excited about it. So I think I can take questions now or whatever we do.
Questions? Yeah, questions. Yeah, absolutely.
Questions about anything?
I have a couple quick ones.
Oh, she's notes.
Report to my daughter. Okay. In the video, it said English, language arts, math. Is that going to be? Are these standards going to be across all disciplines? So, in other words, a science teacher and a history teacher will be expected to teach all of these strategies and with their vocabulary as well as English and math. Okay, good.
Great question. So when I looked at one of the physics problems, there was a question about sound. You know, if you were so far away from a speaker, how loud would it be? Okay, so I teach the kids, here's the equation, find out what equation, plug in the numbers. Well, next generation assessment is, okay, so you're the sound manager, you're the technical director for a concert, let's say Pink. And the speakers are 100 decibels at the face, and the audience is 40 meters away. And you've got to make sure the sound is 80 decibels or lower for the audience because you don't want to hurt their ears. And the sound dissipates at 6 decibels per 4 feet, whatever it is. Johnny thinks the answer is this. Tell us why he's right or wrong. That's the physics problem. So, the physics teacher and me got to change. This isn't about showing the kids equations and getting them to practice using the right equation. This is much more in-depth. And, oh, by the way, they're writing their answer. So, I love it. So your math teachers, your history teachers, your science teachers need to be teaching writing as well and using academic language from their areas.
No Child Left Behind is aligned to this gold star testing, I believe. So does that mean now that there's going to be no more No Child Left Behind, or how do they converge?
Awesome question. I have no idea what the answer is. No Child Left Behind is part of the Elementary Secondary Education Act, known as ESA. And it's been sitting on the President and Congress's desk, I think 3 years now, waiting for reauthorization. Now, no one wanted to touch it going into the election. So they haven't reauthorized NCLB, they haven't reauthorized ESA. It's way overdue, and they need to. So we'll see what. No Child Left Behind is what launched the STAR program, Standardized Testing and Reporting. That required states to use uniform assessment across the state and collect the data and disaggregate it. And they based awards, National Blue Ribbon, California Consumer Schools on the results of those awards. So NCLB, the STAR assessments are going away in 2014. We're pretty sure of that, and we've got to embrace the next generations, and that's about all we know.
So this is an unfunded mandate right now.
100% unfunded.
Okay.
And the tech piece for California, speaking of unfunded, the tech piece is expensive. I was listening to Robert Marzano, national speaker regarding this. He says there's no way the country can pull this off by 2014. He says we're 5 years away from a tech standpoint. They did a tech readiness assessment. California was 3% ready for this. Las Vegas is ahead of that. We've got the backbone there, the Wi-Fi, and the servers are in place. The devices we haven't figured out yet, but so we're closer than the average bear, but the state is way behind.
I was wondering, I think it's a fantastic program. My concern is how are the teachers going to, teach it in this new manner?
That's
some of the older teachers.
that's the focus of most of my efforts and energy. So how are the teachers going to be ready for this? Because this is a game changer for them. So we've been doing a whole bunch of different things. Ventura County, mostly work with Ventura County by professional development. They've had all kinds of training seminars for us. We've sent teachers there to be trainers and come back and share that information with staff. We've also been partnering with what's called Model Schools. Model Schools is an East Coast organization. The rest of the country is way ahead of us. Alabama, Mississippi, it's not fun to say. Alabama, Mississippi, Iowa, they are at least 2 years ahead of us. So last year we sent 47 teachers to Model Schools. I went as well. This year we're sending 88 is the last count I've heard. I'm sure we'll go higher. And there is not a school district that has nearly that many going to model schools. We go to model schools because we're hearing from other states that are way ahead of us. The Connecticut's, the Massachusetts, the Maines. Now Maine is easy. Maine is much smaller than LA Unified. I think they might have 23,000 students. That's like less than the residents of Calabasas. So it's pretty easy, you can be pretty nimble with 23,000 students, as opposed to 700 or so thousand in California.
I love that the school district emphasizes the emotional intelligence and the tech simultaneously. It's just unbelievable that you have a take on that. And raising my daughter with that kind of balance, I have to say it's the creativity and the critical thinking, where as parents, I supervise her on smart music, practicing her saxophone, on extra screen time for math tutoring on some of these websites that give practice questions. But I couldn't believe it when I allowed her to watch a little anime in Japanese and do Rosetta Stone to teach herself Japanese, all initiated by her. And she had an impasse in her Japanese lesson. She went on Google and searched the sentence structure of the Japanese language that she was having difficulty getting past, figured it out, and went back and went to the next level in her Japanese studies, all on her initiation, because she's learned how to use that screen time in a way that facilitates her communication with other family members we have that are married into Japanese. She wants to communicate with them and be a part of like the world culture. And I love that the school district is combining the both of them together without neglecting that psychological, interpersonal, neurobiological connection face to face. It's not all or nothing, and I love that the school district is totally on board with that.
It's huge for me. Tech is wonderful. We're going to embrace tech. It is not a panacea. It is not the answer. We used to have, a good or bad state of affairs. You used to have challenges on the bus behavior, right? If you talk to the bus drivers now, it's quiet as a church because all the kids are. They get on the bus, they don't talk to each other. This is not exactly fostering collaboration, folks. I mean, they might be texting the world, they're playing Spider-Man, I don't know, but Joe.
I'm thrilled with this whole process and what you're doing. It sounds really wonderful. I have a child who's an extraordinarily wonderful person, has these incredible talents, who could answer neither of those questions. So I'm just asking that the school district not forget about the kids who have different minds in a totally different way. This will not make any difference. And we have a number of them. And
Yes.
they're worth pushing.
We have so many different styles of learning, and in reviewing these ideas with the students, I went to a board in Calabasas and met the students and showed some of them. First of all, seniors and juniors were, yes, not us.
Yeah.
And I had this delightful girl from Agora come up to me. She was a sophomore. She said, "This isn't fair." And she was really anxious. And so, as a leader, my challenge is to guide the staff and students and parents, and then part of this is the parent conference to get you all ready for this. To leverage the assessments, to leverage no one likes change. We don't deal with change. There's famous quotes out there between choosing death and change. The studies show which one we choose, and it's not what you think. Not to create anxiety among staff, students, and parents. But I don't want to encourage complacency, and we're Las Virgins, and we always kick butt. So I'm working all the time, watching teachers, talking to principals. How are we? Where are we at? I don't want them in the red zone. We're pushing forward. We're stretching them. It's a challenge. And I'm real proud of how that. When I meet with the staffs, they're on point about this. It's terrific. I mean, they are laser focused on the kid learning. That's one of my wonderful eye openers as superintendent. They can talk about a lot of things. Cost of living increases, benefit increases, and they talk about help us get ready. What kind of resources can we get? What kind of support is in place to get my kids ready for these assessments? So, pretty exciting stuff. There are all different kinds of learners. Kentucky just piloted a next generation assessment. They're not out yet. They're still beta testing. And in fact, Stell is going to be our first district this May to try them. Stell's going to be doing the math exam online. So we're all going over to Stell. They won't give us a copy of the exam, so we're literally going to stand behind the kids and look at the exam online. We won't take any pictures and won't tweet, we promise. But so we're real excited about having one of our schools piloted to see the mechanics of it. Can we pull it off? We have the infrastructure, and of course watch the results and the kids. So when Kentucky did this, they saw the proficiency rates drop to 30%. Now that could be a lot of influences. Kentucky may have very low standards. I don't know what they are, so we'll see. But my guess is when you change courses like this, you're going to see a drop. And like I said, I think some some of our students are going to be hit hard by this, and those students are going to be hit hard by this.
What's the plan to get the parents involved? Because it's obviously that the parents is like half the equation. The kids are in the classroom, they're going to be a lot of time at home, and they've got all that screen time with the mom.
The parent involvement part, this is part of it, coming out here, you know, I know when you saw it on the agenda, like, oh boy, snoozer. Also working on videos, ramping up some of the video outreach we're doing, some of the email blasts I do out to parents as well, so we're going after it hard. My focus right now is on staff and getting them up to speed, but the parent piece is coming next, because we've got to get them ready. You know, if you're used to getting a star report and all of a sudden you get something different, and it looks different, how do you read it, how do you know what it means? You know, your kid comes home and says, I don't know, I took this crazy exam on the iPad, I don't know, what was it? So we've got to get everybody ready. Great question, we have a lot more work to do in that area.
Comment. Being a business owner and also a parent and going through the district myself, I'm really glad to see that an element is coming in about critical thinking because it's really important to, when I go out there and interview somebody, that's one of the things I need. I need them to be able to really think and logic and just, you know, and then that common sense part as well. But, so I appreciate this very much, and the change. I wanted to, kind of like what Mike asked, you said we're going to hear more information. Is it we're going to be going to seminars, or the parents, or is it all us looking on the computer, seeing something? What's it going to be?
Still working on pushing a communication plan outwards. My first instinct would be push videos out to folks. We can hold parent night meetings, but people are busy. You know, I have a sense for the demands on parent schedules. So modeling that asynchronous learning, holy smokes, asynchronous. Asynchronous means we shoot information out to you, you watch it when you want to. Now, is it as valuable as me standing in front of you and Q&A? No, it's not. But we have the ability to reach out much more. So that's my thinking right now is on that, sending materials out to parents. But could we have open sessions and town halls? Absolutely.
I'm a little concerned about this being on such a global scale. I mean, what's going to happen with things like California state history or, you know, things that are a little more local? Are there going to be ways to incorporate that when the teachers have access to tools at the level?
Sure, great question. The standards are 85%, I should say, national. Each state gets to customize 15%. So there's 85% that's shared among the 45 states.
Okay.
And so each state's customizing its own 15%.
So fourth grade mission projects and all of that. And what about, the second question that's not really related, kind of what Joe was talking about. What about kids with IEPs? I mean, just so worried those kids are going to fall through the cracks because it's going to be pretty tough to create accommodations if everything's online and that student's a little bit of a different learner. And I'm concerned about those kids who do want to go to higher education.
These assessments, please don't, are not perfect for mine. There's so much more that we're not measuring. I mean, you can give kids a test on empathy. Kids gotta have an empathy score. Empathy, when you talk about horrific things like school shootings, you know, that's when someone's lost on empathy. They don't view me looking in a room full of people. So you become objects when those horrible things happen. And empathy is huge when you talk about some of the social issues within children and the bullying. This assessment is a giant leap forward from STAR. But, you know, again, as far as measuring, you know, the human element of all of this and the growth as people, it doesn't even come close to that. And there are those assessments out there. And in fact, the state of California has there's a law or a bill out there proposed to allow 40% of our academic performance index to be measured in other things. And typically we do attendance rates and graduation rates and those kind of things, which are all closely associated with academic performance. But there are things like empathy scores and things like that that can also be assessed that are not any part of this. So this assessment will leave people behind. I worry about that.
Yeah.
They're not even, and like I said, I haven't seen them. They're the prototype questions out there that are available. You can Google them. They're out there for everybody. My first real look is going to be May. We're all going to have a big, wide open look at it. There will definitely be accommodations in place. We have to regarding the IEPs.
So there's going to be a revamping in special education as well, I would imagine. It's going to trickle down to teacher training.
Revamping special has been happening for years, in fact. All of our special ed teachers have had to go back and get subject matter expertise in special ed. She's going to get a special ed credential, and then you can teach all the subjects. They've had to go back. That's what me and my staff yesterday, I'm helping them implement that. They had to go back and get prevention